Hi, I'm Dan Gall, one of the helpful and friendly librarians here at the University of Iowa. Today, I want to talk about recognizing scholarly, popular, and other sources of information that you might need in your research. The immediate goal is to help you recognize what to use when your instructors ask you to find scholarly or academic sources, usually journal articles. My larger goal is to help you recognize where information comes from and the different ways it can be presented. I'd like you to be better consumers of information and better able to recognize manipulation when you find it. To do that, I want to trace something I've been seeing a lot online and in news articles over the last several years, the Dunning-Kruger effect. It sounds pretty scientific, and I see it used in internet memes, news articles, and elsewhere. The Dunning-Kruger effect, also known as Mount Stupid or the Smug Snake, named after David Dunning and Justin Kruger of Cornell University, occurs where people fail to adequately assess their level of competence, or more specifically, their incompetence, at a task, and thus consider themselves much more competent than everyone else, according to the Rational Wiki website. People often summarize the Dunning-Kruger effect to be the phenomenon where people are too dumb to realize how dumb they are, and use that as a way to sound educated while calling other people stupid. Since I started paying attention to this a few years ago, I'm seeing it all over the media, related to the workplace, family life, politics. I got curious and decided to learn more about it. I started with an article about the Dunning-Kruger effect in a well-known business journal. Forbes is a magazine that covers business and finance news and has been published since 1917. It is sold on newsstands and it is written in a language that an average American can understand. One goal of magazines and general interest publications is to share information widely, and you do not need to be an expert to understand it. Some folks call this the popular press. And essentially, this article was written at a language level and with a kind of a level of understanding of the topic that a amateur like me can understand. I am not a psychologist, but I wanted to get a good kind of understanding of what Dunning-Kruger was. The article says that, coined in 1999 by then Cornell psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, the eponymous Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias whereby people who are incompetent at something are unable to recognize their own incompetence. And not only do they fail to recognize their incompetence, they're also likely to feel confident that they actually are competent. The article in Forbes provided a nice summary of the Dunning-Kruger effect and gave me some clues about how legitimate it is. Dunning and Kruger, for example, were psychologists at a prominent university. It also told me that they did their research in 1999 and focused on cognition. I used those clues to find Dunning and Kruger's article in an academic database. In this case, I chose PsycInfo because of the focus on cognition, but other databases or even something general like Google Scholar might be a good choice. Librarians can guide you to the best places to look for different types of information. With that information, I was able to find a 1999 article written by both authors in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. This is a peer-reviewed journal published by the American Psychological Association to communicate research and share ideas among specialists in social psychology. The language is specialized, and I would have a hard time understanding everything in it. In other words, it is what many folks call a scholarly or academic journal. Rather than share information widely, academic journals are used to share research, the results of experiments, and similar information among scholars. I found this article in the PsycInfo database. Most research databases include subject headings and an article abstract, or summary, to help you determine what an article is about and if it is relevant to your research. From the abstract, it looks like Dunning and Kruger conducted 4 studies of people's self-assessment of their knowledge of humor, grammar, and logic, and also of their actual knowledge of humor, grammar, and logic. They discovered that people who scored poorly on the tests consistently overestimated how well they did. And they also figured out that the lack of knowledge people had in those areas prevented them from realizing how poorly they'd done. So they thought they did better than they actually did. Other scholars and researchers can use Dunning and Kruger's research to inform their own, and in many cases, you can think of academic articles as a conversation among scholars with each contribution supporting, refuting, or refining other people's work. Dunning and Kruger's 1999 article was very influential among other scholars, and thousands of other scholarly articles cite their research. In the articles on this slide, researchers applied Dunning and Kruger's ideas about expertise in logic, humor, and grammar to political knowledge and wine snobbery, for example. Sometimes, research findings will be published in academic articles and read by reporters for the popular press. The original ideas might be used less rigorously, the writer might not understand the ideas as well as scholars, and in the process of writing for a general audience, the ideas might be presented inaccurately. This is not always a problem, but certainly something for readers to be aware of. People write and publish things for a variety of reasons. Information is published online, in magazines, and in scholarly journals for a variety of reasons. And for some uses, one type or source might be better than others. You might prefer a magazine for basic information about something, but need the academic article to really understand it in depth, or to write an academic paper about it. Of course, some sources are more trustworthy than others. A general interest magazine reporting an academic research to sell more magazines or get more clicks is not necessarily a problem, but be aware of why people are publishing the information they want you to see. These memes, for example, are not intended to teach about the Dunning-Kruger effect, as much as they are to make political opponents look stupid. Education, thinking critically about your sources, and being humble about your knowledge can go a long way to keeping you from being manipulated. If you want to know more about finding good sources and evaluating the quality of the information you find, librarians can help. University of Iowa librarians are available at www.lib.uiowa.edu or area code 319-335-5299. We want you to get the best information you can, and we want you to not be manipulated. Let us know what we can do to help. We're here for your questions.